So, you fought wolves, survived bears, dodged drakes, and built megabases in the harshest biomes Icarus has to offer. But now, it's time to face something far more dangerous. In this video, I'm going to walk you through the complete guide to bosses in Icarus. Everything from world spawn bosses to the massive new threats introduced in the Great Hunts DLC. We'll cover their locations, known weaknesses, how to prepare for each fight, and what it actually takes to bring these beasts down, especially if you're flying solo. And yes, I'll be including all the currently confirmed bosses, including Garganutan, Rimetusk, Quarrite, and more. So grab your gear, sharpen your blades, and let's get ready to hunt some monsters. This is the Ultimate Icarus Boss Guide, and I'm your host, IG. Let's dive in. Bosses in Icarus are not regular creatures with more health. They're handcrafted encounters with unique behavior, abilities, and weaknesses. Each boss has its own combat phases, special traits, and patterns that make it feel like a true boss fight, rather than just a tougher animal. And they can spawn right from the beginning, no summoning or level requirement needed. To make it easier to understand the boss system in Icarus, I'll break them into two categories: pre-Great Hunts bosses and Great Hunts DLC bosses. Before the Great Hunts DLC, players could encounter 5 main world bosses. The Black Alpha Wolf, which spawns in both forest and Arctic biomes, depending on the map. The Sandworm, exclusive to the desert biome, with spawn locations on Olympus and Styx, but notably absent from Prometheus. The Giant Scorpion, which spawns only in the open world of Styx, though it may also appear on Olympus during specific operations. The Lava Hunter, a volcanic-themed spider boss found only in Prometheus. And the Hammerhead Slug, a dangerous creature hiding deep within the swamps of Prometheus. Each of these bosses has a set location and offers its own challenge. Some have AoE attacks, others inflict status effects, and all require proper gear and tactics to defeat efficiently, especially on harder difficulties or when playing solo. Then came the Great Hunts DLC, which introduced 3 new bosses, but this time, they're locked behind arena fights that must be unlocked through the Great Hunt campaign missions. Quarrite, a colossal rock golem that appears only in the arena on Olympus. Garganutan, a massive and brutal ape boss exclusive to Styx. And Rimetusk, a towering ice mammoth encountered in her frozen arena in Prometheus. Unlike world bosses, these arena bosses are completely optional, but once unlocked, they become repeatable fights and offer some of the most intense boss encounters in the game so far. So, across Olympus, Styx, and Prometheus, you'll encounter 2 styles of bosses. World spawn bosses that exist on the map from the start and can be hunted at any time, and arena bosses which are tied to story progress and offer curated cinematic encounters with high replay value. Coming up next, we'll go over exactly where each boss spawns so you know when and where to prepare. In Icarus, tracking boss locations is essential if you're preparing to take on the game's most dangerous enemies. There are multiple methods to locate world bosses on the map, and each comes with its own cost or benefit. The first and most straightforward method is using the World Boss module, which fits into the environment module slot of your suit. To unlock and use this module for the first time, you'll need to spend 150 Ren and 100 purple exotics to research it, followed by 200 Ren and 150 purple exotics to craft it. A total of 350 Ren and 250 purple exotics. Once unlocked, it can be crafted again for your alternate characters by only paying the crafting cost. This method is ideal for players who already have an abundance of Ren and exotics saved up. Another reliable option is to unlock the Big Game Hunter talent from the Survival Hunting talent tree. This talent allows you to see world bosses on your map after spending 12 talent points in the tree, and then investing an additional point to unlock it for a total of 13 talent points. This approach is useful if you're deep into the hunting tree and have some extra talent points to spare. The third and arguably most cost-effective method is crafting the tracking attachment, a helmet attachment that displays boss icons on your map. This item requires only 4 electronics and 2 titanium ingots to craft, and also grants an additional plus 15% critical damage when equipped. It doesn't cost any Ren, exotics, or talent points, making it a great choice for new and seasoned players alike. Once one of these tracking methods is active, world bosses will appear on the map as yellow boss icons, helping you plan your route and approach. However, not all bosses are shown on the map. The Great Hunt's DLC bosses, Quarrite, Garganutan, and Rimetusk, operate differently. These bosses only spawn in special arena instances that are separate from the main world maps. To access each boss, you must first complete the Great Hunt's campaign for that specific map. Finishing the Olympus campaign unlocks the Quarrite arena, completing the Styx campaign opens the Garganutan arena, and finishing the Prometheus campaign grants access to the Rimetusk arena. These arena bosses do not appear on your map using any of the previously mentioned tracking methods. You simply unlock them by progressing through the campaign and entering their respective arenas. Each map in Icarus contains a unique set of bosses. On Olympus, the available bosses include the Black Alpha Wolf, which can be found in both forest and Arctic biomes. The giant scorpion only appears during specific operations in the desert biome. The Sandworm resides in the southwestern desert, and Quarrite, the rock golem boss, is fought exclusively in the Quarrite arena unlocked via the Great Hunt's campaign. Moving on to the Styx map, the Black Alpha Wolf once again spawns in both forest and Arctic biomes. The Sandworm is restricted to the desert biome here, while the giant scorpion has a wider range and appears in both the desert and Arctic. Garganutan, the ape boss, is encountered only in the arena instance after completing the Styx Great Hunt's campaign. On the Prometheus map, the Black Alpha Wolf spawns only during the Vapor Geyser World event. The Sandworm is tied to specific operations and can be found in the Ashlands Null Zone. The Lava Hunter, a lava spider boss, roams the volcanic biome, while the Hammerhead Slug is exclusive to the swamp biome. Rimetusk, the ice mammoth, appears solely in its Arctic arena instance, accessible after completing the Great Hunt's campaign on Prometheus. Finally, the Landshark is a unique boss that is available on all maps and across all biomes. It is summoned using the prototype Thumper device. When activated on high risk, the Landshark will spawn nearby, turning your thumping operation into a high-stakes boss fight. This makes the Landshark one of the few bosses that is both biome-independent and accessible across the full range of Icarus maps. In Icarus, every boss creature has specific traits that define how they fight, what they're vulnerable to, and how best to counter them. As you defeat these bosses repeatedly, you'll progress their individual bestiary entries. Once you've reached 20% bestiary completion for a boss, their elemental weaknesses and critical hit zones will be revealed permanently, giving you an edge in future encounters. This chapter breaks down the known weaknesses, resistances, and special mechanics for each boss to help you plan your gear and tactics. The Black Wolf, while relatively simple compared to others, has a critical zone at the head. It inflicts wounds, retreats when injured, and is known to travel with a pack. It doesn't have any known elemental weakness or resistance, and frequently spawns additional wolves to support it. The Landshark, a boss that spawns during high-risk Thumper events, has a weakness to fire and can be critically damaged by targeting its mouth. It utilizes bacterial and poison attacks, and does not spawn any adds during combat. There are no elemental resistances noted. The giant scorpion, found across various desert and Arctic regions, is vulnerable to frost damage and has a critical hit zone at its eyes. It relies on poison attacks and has a hardened carapace that increases its resistance to physical damage. During the fight, it can summon smaller scorpions to overwhelm players. The Sandworm, another desert boss, also has a weakness to fire and a critical spot in its mouth. It primarily uses poison-based attacks and does not spawn additional creatures. Like many desert bosses, it lacks any elemental resistance. The Lava Hunter, exclusive to the volcanic region of Prometheus, is resistant to fire, but weak to frost. Its critical hit zones are the belly and eyes, though it does not appear to have any direct attacks or beneficial traits beyond laying eggs that hatch into lava creatures. These eggs can quickly escalate the encounter, if not dealt with promptly. The Hammerhead Slug, found in swamp biomes, is a multi-phase boss that's particularly weak to fire and melee attacks. It resists poison and has a critical hit area on its head. This boss uses slowing attacks and inflicts wounds, leaving behind a slimy trail. It begins as one large slug, which splits into 3 medium slugs, and each medium slug then splits again into smaller ones, turning the fight into a chaotic swarm battle. The unstable Quarrite, located in the Great Hunt Arena on Olympus, is vulnerable to poison and mining damage. It's heavily armored, meaning bullets often ricochet off it, and it deals lots of physical damage. It resists fire and frequently summons cave worms that also deal poison damage, adding pressure throughout the fight. Garganutan Prime, found in the Styx Great Hunt Arena, has critical areas on its head and chest. It is vulnerable to melee, poison, and fire, and its main defensive trait is its ability to recover health during the fight. This boss is physically large, hits hard, and summons Garganutan minions to assist it, forcing players to manage both the boss and waves of smaller threats. Lastly, Rimetusk Matriarch, the final Great Hunt boss on Prometheus, has a headshot critical zone and is weak to fire and poison. However, it resists frost and is highly armored. Rimetusk also uses frost-based attacks and spawns Arctic Vespers, making it one of the more dangerous and visually intense encounters in the game. Understanding these unique strengths and vulnerabilities is essential to efficiently taking down bosses in Icarus. Proper preparation, from talents and elemental weapons to consumables and armor, can turn what seems like an impossible fight into a well-managed victory. When it comes to fighting world bosses in Icarus, physical resistance and movement speed are by far the 2 most critical stats you need to focus on. These bosses hit hard, and you either need to be tough enough to absorb their damage or quick enough to dodge out of their attack zone. That's why building a character with the right gear and stats is essential for both survival and efficiency. But not every player has access to all the DLCs or the different exotic currencies required for high-end crafting. So, instead of assuming everyone has everything unlocked, I've built a loadout that's accessible and optimized, even for players without access to the New Frontiers DLC or Red Exotics. Let's start with builds for the Olympus and Styx maps. These maps don't require Red Exotics, so they're more accessible. First, equip the Hark Enviro suit, which gives solid all-around stats and works well across multiple biomes. For armor, go with the composite armor set, which offers decent protection and mobility. You'll also want to outfit each armor piece with attachments. A tracking attachment for the helmet to locate bosses on the map, advanced plating for the chest and legs to boost durability, an advanced calibrated grip on the arms for improved tool handling, and advanced aerodynamic on the feet for better movement speed. Next up is the Biome backpack, which provides excellent utility and survival. As for modules, install the mass dampener for increased movement. The second module slot can be your choice. Pick something that complements your playstyle. For defense, bring along a carbon fiber round shield, which can block certain melee boss attacks and give you more control in close quarters. When it comes to firepower, I recommend a combination of the assault rifle, trench shotgun, and flamethrower. Each of these has a role depending on the boss's weakness and your proximity to the target. The Beast Scanner gadget is a helpful tool for lowering resistances. Medical supplies are crucial, don't underestimate them. Bring bandages, suture kits, anti-poison pills, vitamins, antibacterial pills, and health tonics to stay in the fight longer and counteract the variety of status effects some bosses can inflict. For food, a well-balanced diet will give you major buffs, so stack up on carrot cake, chocolate cake, coconut cake, shepherd's roll, stringy jerky, strawberry hard candy, and coffee with cream. These foods provide a mix of healing, stamina regen, movement speed, and damage boosts. Now let's talk about Prometheus. If you do own the New Frontiers DLC, you'll have access to Red Exotics, which unlock some of the strongest gear in the game. In that case, the overall strategy is similar, but we upgrade the armor to the Obsidian Armor set. This set provides superior protection and performance in the harsh volcanic and Arctic environments found on Prometheus. Keep the same Hark Enviro suit and Biomore backpack. Attachments remain the same as the Olympus/Styx setup: tracking on the head, advanced plating on the chest and legs, calibrated grip on the arms, and aerodynamic boots. For your module setup, keep the mass dampener, but swap your optional second slot for the protection module to improve your resistance to wounds and deep wounds. Stick with the same weapons: assault rifle, trench shotgun, and flamethrower, as they cover all ranges and elemental needs. Gadgets and healing items remain unchanged, as they're universally applicable across all maps and boss types. Regardless of which map you're on, the idea is to stay fast, stay alive, and hit hard in the boss's weak spots. With this gear setup, you'll have the tools you need to face any boss in Icarus with confidence.
Nothing breathes beneath the dunes. It watched in silence for 1,000 years, and now it wakes to feast on fear. Its skin is stone, its soul is none. It rolls like thunder, nowhere to run. Cracks in the earth, dust in the sky. It sees no mercy, it don't ask why. Cave worms crawl, the venom flies. You strike the shell, but nothing It swallows gold, it grinds the bone. Its armor grows from mine and stone. You try to bleed it, but it don't bleed. You try to stop it, it won't heed it. No shadow left, no breath to spare. Just sand and stone and poisoned air. One shot left, you aim and pray. If this is it, then make it stay.
branches crack and silence breaks. I hold my breath, the jungle waits. He comes from the dark, from the deep unknown, with stones and fire and flesh and bone. But I won't run, no, I won't flee. Let the echoes in the canopy remember me. The wind grows sharp with every step he takes, and voices scream through the tangle breaks. His fists are storms, he calls the pack, but I face worse and never looked back. He comes from the dark, from the deep unknown, with rage in his blood and roots for a throne. But I won't fall, no, I won't plead. Let the echoes in the canopy remember me. He throws the earth, he shakes the sky, but still I rise. He came from the dark, but I stood my ground, with arrows and breath and barely a sound. If I am lost, so let it be. But the echoes in the canopy will carry me. Let them carry me. You feel it before you see it. The cold, the weight, she's here. She rose like a shadow out of ice. Not a sound, not a warning, just white. Frozen ground cracked beneath her pace. I couldn't move, just saw her face. Armor of glass, breath like snow. silent scream what I should know. This wasn't nature, this was choice born from madness. She has no She moves without a spark. The wind bends to her will. The frost begins to kill. I can't escape. I can't outrun. She is the end. She is the one. Bats in the sky, swarming her name. I dodge the teeth, I take the flame. But nothing cuts and nothing breaks. She's colder than the world she beneath the frost. Everything warm is lost. The light won't last for long. She's right where we went wrong. I face the storm alone, but still I stand.
And that wraps up our breakdown on how to defeat every boss solo on hard difficulty in Icarus. Whether you're fighting through waves of slugs, dodging sandworm spins, or going toe-to-toe with the armored might of Quarrite, remember, movement, preparation, and knowledge are your best weapons. If this guide helped you survive the Great Hunts, drop a like, leave a comment letting me know which boss gave you the most trouble, and consider subscribing to the channel for more in-depth Icarus guides, cinematic shorts, and mod showcases. I'm also live every week on Twitch, tackling these challenges with the community, sharing tips, laughs, and the occasional tragic permadeath. Come hang out, ask questions, or just vibe with us while we take on Icarus together. Thanks for watching, Prospectors. Stay safe, scan those beasts, and I'll see you planetside. IG, signing off.